This video is about explaining the concept of production planning. So if you think of a person who's responsible for scheduling production or planning production, the main and primary activities of the planner or scheduler and what they perform is to determine what needs to be manufactured, how much, when the production needs to start, and when the production needs to be completed. An example would be the planner who goes into the ERP system, and they're going into the MRP module specifically, and they're reviewing what the MRP system is recommending, and they're looking for those items that need to be produced, and then they're reviewing them. Then they look at it, they examine it, they verify that it makes sense. They pick one of those items, or the recommendations to be planned, they review it for correctness, and they prepare to release the production order. Now, production planning becomes important because it's that activity that kicks off releasing a shop order to produce the product, the subassembly, the component. That's where it starts. And that process has to be started accurately and on time, or manufacturing starts out late, of course, and then we've got to make up the time and expedite somewhere to catch up. If you think of a couple schedulers working side by side and both happen to need to release the job to the floor and they start at the same time and they're roughly due at the same time, one scheduler releases their job on time, the other scheduler releases the job late because they got tied up in an offsite meeting. In the case of the latter event, the job to be produced, at some point it's going to have to be expedited to make up the time to get it done on time. And that's why staying on top of your schedule becomes important. It allows others from an impact standpoint to plan their work accordingly, and the organization or the factory starts out from a position of being on time. If you think about the impact of starting late, that starting late will probably ripple through the organization, cause other elements of the business to be starting late, unless they can catch up, of course. And then they have their plans disrupted too, and it ripples through the factory. And so these delays, or these series of delays, can add up incrementally over time and cause the whole facility to be late. And then you got to jump into a panic mode or an expedite mode to be able to catch up. A good example is unfortunate when you have to go for a medical appointment if something's wrong. If you have a later in the day appointment, probably a higher probability your appointment's going to be late, and it's going to start late because previous appointments, they either ran late or they got started late, and it just ripples through the course of the day, and it adds up over the course of the day. And that's why you see late appointments and the physician having to work late, because we're trying to catch up, and that time that kind of stacks up, that gets lost, and we don't make that up magically. We've got to work extra to catch it up.